Hello, welcome back to Football-Oranje, your home of Dutch football. We've got some exciting European ties coming up for Dutch teams in Europe. Let's start with this one. We've got Feyenoord against Celtic in De Kuip midweek. And, I need a Celtic person to come on. And we have Scott here, who was, voted by our comment section a couple of years ago as one of the best guests we ever had on Football-Oranje. Scott, how you doing?
Wow. I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
So let's get into the game. We've got Celtic, who are coming from the Scottish League, and we've seen PSV absolutely thrash Rangers at home recently. I know that Celtic beat Rangers in the Old Firm derby recently, but where are Celtic at the minute, Scott?
It's a mega interesting question, right? So without going into the whole backlog, we lost our manager in the summer. We brought back an ex-hero who kind of has a question mark over him because of how it finished at Leicester and even how it finished at Celtic. So our style has somewhat changed from that. You probably saw how Tottenham are playing now. That was basically how we were playing last season. But Brendan Rodgers has now come in and he's a more possession-based manager, and we've got a lot of players who, for the last 2 years, have basically been drilled to play a certain way. So it's kind of up in the air just now in terms of and we have picked up a lot of injuries. I don't know if it's just a coincidence or just bad luck or whatever, mate. But it's an intriguing time for us because Brendan Rodgers made the big fact that coming back, he wanted to succeed in Europe, which very much, in his last tenure, he won every domestic trophy he could. And this time, we're already out the League Cup. We had that draw against St Johnstone. And it's not been great, mate. It's not been great to watch. This game's going to be mega interesting because, as well you would know, and your guests would know, in Scotland, we generally don't get teams attacking us. And we are the guys that have to break people down. The game yesterday, first half was really, really poor. Just no inventiveness. And then the second half, once Atati comes on, we looked a lot better. And Kyogo, I'm kind of all over the shop here because there is quite a bit to talk about. The fact we were in the Champions League last year, and despite getting plaudits, we never won a game. Do you know what I mean? And we ended up taking a couple of hidings off Real Madrid and stuff like that. But our big players never really turned up in the Champions League. Like Kyogo, we're saying that Kyogo's arguably the best striker we've had since Henrik Larsson. Do you know what I mean? And but he didn't do it in the Champions League, so. He's really got to do it in Europe before that. But like I say, I'm all over the shop. In summary, Celtic are very much a team in flux just now.
Feyenoord are going to have to make the most of that. They've won the Dutch Eredivisie. They had that run to the quarterfinals of the Europa League last season. Before that, the final of the Conference League. Under Arne Slot, who has had all the plaudits, not just from Dutch media. Us and Football-Oranje as well, we gave him big time plaudits and said could be potential future manager of the Netherlands, going to one of the top leagues in Europe and to one of the top teams also within that. This season didn't start off amazingly for Feyenoord. They lost the Dutch Super Cup, as we discussed in our podcast, where they lost 1-0 to PSV and didn't look good. A bit quite flat, lots of injuries though. I think there were reasons for that defeat, and Feyenoord did have chances early in the game against PSV's quite open defence. Then a couple of draws in the league, and that was then followed up by scoring 5s and 6s in the Eredivisie against some poorer teams, but a 6-1 win over Heerenveen. An okay mid-table team at the weekend. It's nothing to be sniffed at, I don't think, because of the goals they got so quickly. They made the most of the mistakes. They were clinical, and it wasn't just Jimenez that was doing the damage. Now Jimenez is out of this game, so is the second choice striker Ueda through injury. Jimenez is suspended. So how do Feyenoord chances stack up now? You've got Celtic, who you say are in flux. You've got Feyenoord. Yes, they're in De Kuip, where they are so brilliant, but also their own injuries. Bilo, the goalkeeper's also out. though I don't think that's an issue with Wellenreuter coming in. How does Celtic view this game? I mean, I know they not all fans be aware of the players that are missing for Feyenoord, but do they Feyenoord and they go, oh God.
It's interesting now because defensively we're a bit all over the shop as well. I mean, our best defender by an absolute mile, and I would say the best defender in Scotland by a stretch, is Cameron Carter-Vickers. And when he plays, we generally look a lot better, you know. And he had a great partnership with Carl Starfelt, the Swedish international, who has since left and joined Celtic Vigo. Now, replacing these guys in the team, so we bought a guy called Mike Nawrowski from Legia Warsaw for about $4.5 million, and then we bought a guy called Lager Bielka, another a young Swedish defender. We paid $3 million for him, but Nawrowski is injured and he isn't even in our squad. The injury is that expected. CCV is injured, so we ended up signing a guy called Nat Phillips. I mean, I dare say you've heard of Nat Phillips. I'll be honest. At the weekend, there was the first time I've set eyes on him. But he's played over 20 times for Liverpool and he's played in the Champions League before. So he's now getting dropped in to the team. So defensively, we are questionable, which is kind of ironic considering we've discussed, the two guys are missing. I mean, the Jimenez one. I done a podcast with a Feyenoord fan last week before I spoke to yourself, and it was him that revealed to me that Jimenez was missing, because I've got to admit, I mean, I ended up watching videos in this guy because I'll be total ignorance. I had never heard of him, and I think he's a class act. I think he's really, really good. Do you know what I mean? A really enjoyable guy to watch. So when I heard he was out, I was delighted, but it will be really interesting. I mean, he started the question by asking what the thoughts are, right? And this, be brutally honest about it, because of your coefficient, logically, this is Celtic's best chance to get points.
It is.
And I don't say that as ignorant. I don't say that as totally dismissive of Feyenoord, because as I've spoke to you in the past, I actually like Feyenoord. They would be my Dutch team. I've been to the stadium. I've been to the city. I've loved it, and I do take an interest in them. But the fact of the matter is, Arne Slot has. I would suggest, from everything you've spoke to me, and I'm easily shot down here if you want, but Arne Slot is getting so much out of that team. You suggested to me that guys leave the club and they kind of go down, and you look at the two guys at Rangers who have hardly set the place on fire. But Danilo was a really, really important player at points last season for Feyenoord, I'm led to believe. So is Arne Slot, is he just one of the guys that can get overachieve with players? As I say, we've got to be looking at the injuries that they've got, and we've really got to take our chances.
How do you view the other teams in this group, by the way? Since you said about Celtic having a chance against Feyenoord in this group, of all the teams, how do you view the other two teams in the group?
You see the Lazio one, right? So like we spoke last week for people for my own podcast, and the interesting thing was that I never realised that Feyenoord had played Lazio in the Europa League groups, to the point that I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to watch the games, because I don't think Lazio have overly improved. Like, the squad, they've not been out and spent multi-millions. So basically what it was last year should give me a great indication of what it's going to be like this year. Lazio's a hit and miss. Again, they've got Ciro Immobile, and when we played them a few years ago, Ciro Immobile, I swear he only had like 3 chances and he scored twice. The guy is a grade A finisher. But we've proved in the past that we can beat them. Feyenoord have proved in the past that they're beatable. I tend to think Atletico Madrid are going to be on a different level. I tend to think they're going to be your outlier. I think that you'll find that they'll win most games. So, and we've got to be looking at the Feyenoord. The fact of the matter is, Celtic's a 4th seed. So we expect laws of averages. We're going to finish bottom.
Yeah.
But if you can bloody a couple of noses, maybe grab some. Like I said, we've kind of got to be clinical in these games. We've got to take our chances. It's no use like we done last year missing. So we drew 1-1 with Shakhtar Donetsk and we battered them. Absolutely battered them. We drew 1-1 because of Mudryk. Do you know what I mean? So it's I've said to you before, Celtic could easily challenge for this group, but they could easily finish with 0 points.
I think it's all down to how much Rodgers can get out of this group, because Postecoglou was so good for Celtic, and the change was, I don't know. I hold the opinion that I think it was a bit of a lazy appointment that Celtic could have done. Maybe they couldn't have had many better managers given what the Scottish League can draw, but I do think that couldn't. Why look backwards? Why look forwards? And Rodgers had a good time in charge. But when you've got this style of football that Postecoglou put in, that might have actually done something in the Champions League. Why not look for someone who is equally as curveball with the way they want their teams to play? And I say that because the other teams in this group, there are chances here, and Celtic would have come into this hoping for a group like this where there are opportunities to progress, where you can take teams on. You don't want to turn up to each of the 6 group games and sit back, hope for the best, play on the counter-attack, or maybe we'll have the fans with us at home and get a couple of wins, because that's not what Celtic should. That's not how you're going to progress. Yeah,
you've absolute nail in the head. Yeah.
And then when you look at the comments in the media, I don't agree with Arda Moss, who made the comments about Celtic's football being, what was the word, infantile? I think it translated as. That's not what
childish was the one. Childish.
Yeah, try to put a better translation of the words. I think with Simeone and Sarri, they're going to come to the count, though. I do agree that they will play defensively. They will try and see out the game, maybe win 1-0. Final will throw as much at them as they can into Calp. Even without Jimenez against Celtic, they'll have him back for the other games. That's what gives me the confidence that Final can finish second in this group, because I think that Lazio can be gotten at over the 2 legs. I think there's at least one win in there for Feyenoord, possibly for Celtic as well. And then there's Atletico. And I do think Feyenoord can get a result at home, even if it is just a draw. That just leaves them up against, maybe if they've got 10 points and the other team's got 9, that can make the difference. So I think there are chances in this group, and it shouldn't be ruled out completely that Celtic can do something. But hopefully Celtic don't do that at the expense of Feyenoord. I don't see that happening.
It's to come back to what you said at the beginning. What you're suggesting with Brendan Rodgers, I think, is an absolute 100% fair. I think I've actually said it on our main show as well. Is whilst both of them are attacking managers, they're different attacking managers, and Postecoglou had set us up in such a way that maybe progression on top of that was more suited. Like you say, somebody who would follow that ideology. But Brendan Rodgers is a very arrogant man, right? And rightly so. He's a very good coach, and there was no chance he was going to come in and just go, well, and just go, I was winning with this, so I'll just keep doing it. He was always going to come in and change that. And it was naive for even guys like myself to believe that he would maybe kind of keep the ball rolling, because there's guys just having, like, see Maeda. Maeda was such a great outlet for us last season. And there is always question marks over his technicality, but in terms of fitness, in terms of dig, this guy's an asset. And you can see him kind of struggling to play the role that he's asked just now. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, it comes back to, I think your suggestion about Brendan Rodgers is a fair one, just to kind of comment on what you said there. But I mean, like I said, it's great that you're looking at all 3 games kind of going, right, if we do this right and if we do that right, we can do something. Whereas when you get PSG turned up, PSG beat us 5-0 and then beat us 7-1, and you just know. I mean, the PSG one, I remember sitting and watching that day going, they could take 10 off us. Do you know what I mean? And that's you're a football fan. That's horrendous, sitting watching your team get dismantled. You know what I mean? After plonkers like Neymar.
That's seen enough from that for being an Aston Villa fan as well as a Dutch football fan.
Well,
let's get into predictions for the game. I'll start on my own one because I feel like this one will go one way certainly if Feyenoord get that first goal early on. Feyenoord have been getting a lot of early goals in the league games recently, and it's not obviously going to happen if Feyenoord win. Get the first goal in 10 minutes, they go in 5 or 6-0. I don't think they'll steamroller Celtic like PSV did with Rangers. I think Celtic are just that little notch better. And I think with Feyenoord not having quite as much confidence as they did at the end of last season, they are still able to win games. Slot is able to do that. When they've actually had a couple of draws in the league, they had a game against Sparta, they had more than enough chances to actually win 3-4, 5-2. So even though Jimenez and Ueda are out of this, I think the high press is going to be annoying for Celtic. There'll be times where they can't get out. I think they'll go for the long ball, and Feyenoord's back four will win those headers and those physical duels. Feyenoord, I don't know if I've said this on Football-Oranje, but I seem to say it everywhere else, that I do think they have the best four defenders in the Eredivisie in each of the positions. They are very good physical defenders for the Champions League level. People doubted that in the Europa League, saying, I'm not sure about China in the Champions League, but he's so good on the ball and physically very good, which is what they're going to need. Maybe pacing behind could be an issue, and I know Celtic have got Kyogo, who's going to be good in those kind of areas, but will they have enough of those opportunities? We'll have to wait and see. So I'm going to go with, I've recently said 2-1 Feyenoord on another show, so I think I'm going to go a bit more optimistic on Football-Oranje, and I'm going to say 3-0 Feyenoord. But that's not said with like huge conviction, because I think Celtic could make it a difficult night. And of course, them getting the first goal is massive in football. The Feyenoord having to fight back without Jimenez, that's going to be tough.
Right. Again, everything you've said there's fair. The getting in behind. There's interest at the weekend. We brought on Hatate, and that was his first game since the second game of the season. And Hatate is a massive player for us. Massive. Arguably the best player in the country, in my opinion. And if he's coming back into the team and he's more settled, that's a big bonus for us. Massive bonus, because he tries things. He's one of the guys who tries things. He might look, you go and look at stats and he might give the ball away 50% of the time. That's because he's trying flicks, he's trying chips over the top and all that. So Hatate coming back in is a big bonus for us. I hope Kyogo can hit the ground running. I'm going to throw at you my oldest son's prediction. So I asked him today. Every time I ask him for a score, he generally gets it right, which is quite a stunning thing. And I say to him today, we're playing Feyenoord. And it's funny because, like I say to you, I like Feyenoord, and that Super Feyenoord song is majestic, right? It's absolutely, I absolutely love that song. And I put it on in the car, and he loves it as well. So I was saying to him, we're playing that team Super Feyenoord. He's like, right. And I said, what do you think the score will be? He's like, 2-2. And I says, right, wee man, I'll take that off you the new. So I'm going to go with 2-2. That's a wee bit of hope, to be honest. But yeah, a good entertaining match. Everybody gets on. There's no crap fighting and all that, Caper, and everybody. And we come away. And as you say, see, right now, I'd be content with third place for Celtic. You gave me a bit of logic about why Feyenoord are looking to progress the Champions League, because they've done the Europa. For Celtic, I think coming third, taking the money, sad modern football, that's where we're at. Taking the money, dropping into the Europa, and maybe have a decent run to the semi-finals or something to elevate our name, because we've kind of dragged through the mud Europe-wise recently. So that's my hope for it, Michael. That's my thinking.
Okay. Well, Scott, thank you very much for coming on Football-Oranje all again. Scott, do you want to just share quickly what you do as a Celtic fan and your podcast?
Right. So I'm on Twitter. Just my name, Scott McCorry, at Scott McCorry. It's generally Celtic banter, maybe a bit of political chat here and there, but I'm a member of the Homeboys podcast. It's at Homeboys, all one word, boys with BHOYS. But I do my own show on that channel, and it's Room 1-on-1, where I basically talk to the away fans, and experts like yourself, Michael, come on and help me out and give me a good idea about what's happening. All I do is generally sell. Oh, Borussia Dortmund as well. I've got a very soft spot for Borussia Dortmund as well. So I do kind of lament their struggles as it goes just now. A wee follow would be lovely, but don't feel obliged.
Well, cheers, Scott, and yeah, we'll get you on again. All the best Celtic in the group stage, apart from when you play finals.
Of course, mate. Of course.
Thanks on for listening. Give us a like if you enjoyed it on YouTube or wherever else you're listening, and subscribe if you're new. Check us out on the website football-oranje.com for much more. Bye, everyone.